All right, so here we go. So welcome to the Masterclass, Why You're Doing Everything Right and Still Stuck. I'm Melissa Peterson, and we are going to get started. So I'm going to share my screen, and if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you can't hear me, let me know. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that is what I need to do. All right, so give me just a moment because I'm connecting to the computer that has the slideshow on it. There we go. All right. So, why you're doing everything right and still stuck. The hidden biological and identity systems that are controlling your results. That is our show. Okay. So, this masterclass is for people who are, continuously eating clean. They're training. Maybe you're eating clean most of the time, or, you know, probably more than just some of the time, but most of the time you're eating clean, you're training all the time, you're at the gym, you're disciplined, you're going to bed when you're supposed to, but you're stuck, so you feel frustrated. Um, and a lot of us, probably all of us have been there, otherwise we wouldn't be in this class. The discipline paradox. So most disciplined people do something predictable and then their results stall. So then they work harder, they add workouts, they restrict more on their eating, and they push through when they're tired. And your body, though, is not a machine that simply responds to pressure. Your body is a biological protection system, and at some point, the more you push, your body's going to resist. So, why most advice fails? Most health advice focuses on calories, macros, workouts, and which are very important, but they are downstream variables. They are outputs and not drivers. And the real drivers of change are your deeper biological systems. So basically, because of this, like two people can do the same eating plan, the same workout plan, and they can get different results. So the difference is an internal state, it's not your effort. So, as I said before, your body is a protection system. Your body's first priority is survival, not aesthetics. So, when your body senses stress or a threat, it protects you by number one, slowing your metabolism, two, increasing your fat storage, three, altering your hunger hormones. So you're not failing. Your body's just protecting. It's trying to keep you safe, not lean. Because, back in the day, when the ancestors were running around, uh, you're, being lean was probably not an ideal thing. It meant weren't eating, you weren't getting food, so you were starving. And now we kind of have the opposite. The hidden system that controls results. So there's five major systems that influence your transformation. One is your nervous system. Another is your hormones. The third is your thyroid and metabolism. The fourth is sleep and recovery. And then five is identity patterns, like how you see yourself. Most programs ignore these entirely. They're just focused on calories, they're focused on macros, they're focused on exercise. And if these are not aligned, your results are going to stall no matter how disciplined you are because your body's just going to adapt. Hold on a second. I want to talk a little bit more before I get to this one about, I'm going to go back. Um, so the nervous system. If you are pushing constantly, you are going to be, your body's going to be in a stress. So even if you don't feel stress, constant pushing is always going to put your body in a stressed mode. It's an in-go mode. And so then your body is going to stay in fight or flight. When your body is in fight or flight, those hormones like cortisol blocks fat loss, recovery, and it changes the hormone balance when your nervous system is stressed. So you cannot outwork a dysregulated nervous system. Hormones. Your hormones regulate your fat storage, your energy, your hunger, and your metabolism. Chronic stress increases your cortisol, and high cortisol blocks your fat, increases your cravings, and it reduces recovery. Um, Hormonal environment determines results. Um, so going to your metabolism and your metabolism is adaptive. So when you undereat or overtrain or both, your body's going to respond by slowing down. And your body becomes more efficient. So like if you cut calories, so you cut it by like 200 or 300 calories a day, your metabolism is going to slow down so that your body can maintain the weight and and it'll adapt to the amount of calories you're eating. So it becomes more efficient, it burns less, and then thus it's metabolic adaptation. So it's not a failure on your part, it's your body just adapting. Um, Sleep and recovery. You do not need to build results in your workouts, you build them in recovery. So poor sleep leads to higher cortisol, worse insulin response, and slower fat loss. Recovery is not optional, it's required. So if the choice is, everybody might like this actually. The choice is, should I sleep a little bit longer because I didn't get enough sleep, or should I get up and work out? And you have to make a choice. It's probably better to sleep. Not doing that like every day and missing all your workouts, but you know, sleep is a huge priority that I myself have had overlooked for years. I treated my body horribly. So that's not a good thing. So then the last thing, identity patterns. People ignore this completely. So if your identity is I push no matter what, you will override your body, you will ignore your sleep, and you will stay in your stress cycles. Your identity determines your behavior, and your behavior determines your results. So I also had this issue. I was like, push, push, push. I'm going to push through no matter what. Very goal oriented, and that was hard to try to overcome. And I'm still not good at it. Sometimes I push when I shouldn't, but I'm getting better at listening to my body. All right, so next slide. Um, the clean eating plateau. Many disciplined people eat clean and still stall. I have done it. I changed my diet in 2018, and I was eating just like probably I'd call it a um, paleo diet, where I was eating like meat, legumes, nuts, vegetables. I had cut out fruit because I felt fruit triggered me to want to eat sugar. But I cut all that stuff. I was eating very, very clean. I was never cheating. I stopped eating processed food. I stopped eating sugar in 2018. I never have eaten any since. And I still, um, I still had a stall many times. This happens because stress hormones block fat loss. I was living in a terrible environment for many, many years, and it was like I was constantly in fight or flight. I don't know if I ever came out of fight or flight, probably for like a good 15 years. Um, and And also too, I overtrained. Like, I remember when I had gotten out of law school, I was I had nothing to do. So I would go to the gym and I'd be there for hours, like I'd get on the Stairmaster for like an hour or more, and then maybe I'd lift some weights. I'd go to a kickboxing class because I was just bored and I had nothing to do. And I just overtrained. And I remember even in college, there was a time I was working out every day. I was doing all these things, but I was eating so much that like I would never see like a loss. You cannot out train your mouth. Um, but, you know, just the training itself can slow your metabolism. And your metabolism, it there's adaptation that occurs with your metabolism. So it's not about being disciplined, because I always had plenty of discipline. The answer that is alignment with how your body works. So next slide. Um, Nervous system resistance. Chronic stress signals danger and fat loss resistance increases. So basically, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. I think my slides might have gotten messed up around, but that's okay. Basically, if you are in stress, you're not going to be able to lose weight. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we talked about this. The hormones matter. Um, the cortisol impacts your fat storage, your recovery decreases, and your hunger hormones shift. So, one of the things about cortisol is that um, it it's like the opposite of your melatonin. So your cortisol goes up, your melatonin goes down. So in the morning, that's how you wake up, is your cortisol increases, and then your melatonin, when it's up, you're sleeping. So if your cortisol also can like affect your sleep. We talked about extreme discipline slows your metabolism. It doesn't actually help you. Um, and we talked about, if you force it more, you're just putting more pressure on your body. It's just going to push back. So your body's not broken. It's responding to the signals. Um, Signs that this is happening to you. Maybe you all have experienced this. We talked about it a little bit, but eating clean. You're eating clean every day, but you're stalled in your progress. You're wired, but you're not tired. Well, that's because your cortisol is always high. It's chronically high, and like I said, when cortisol is up, that means that melatonin's down. When melatonin's up, it means cortisol is down. So the more we push, the more stall we get. Um, and I was talking about my story, earlier. Discipline alone was never my answer, and I had to stop. After I got divorced, my body kind of was coming out of fight or flight about a year later, and I was just doing the normal stuff that I did, and one day I'm just sitting at my desk like I am right now, and I could not stay awake. And I told my assistant, I'm like, you have to get me Zoom because I can't drive to court. I had to go to sleep, and then I would just wake up and do my hearing, because and that would just randomly happen to me. And so then I went to a naturopath actually, and that's when I realized that my systems were really messed up. And I didn't even realize it because when you're in constant trauma, when you come out of it, your body will just shut down sometimes when it finally, gets to a state where it can relax. And so being in stress all the time and just doing all the time, it really messes with your body. And even though I pushed, I was still eating clean. I was exercising. I I wasn't seeing results, and in fact, my body was just shutting down. All right. So, the turning point um, is I started regulating myself, aligning myself, and that's what changed everything. I started doing sleeping better. I started minimizing stress. Getting some time out in the sun and nature, and kept eating clean. Um, Trying to throw a little bit of yoga on the days, not pushing too hard, and that really helped. And so the solution is not more workouts. Um, it's not restricting more. It's not more pressure. It's just working with your body instead of against it. And so, thus, I'm introducing. So my coaching program is called the Becoming Method. It's a system designed for people who feel stuck, whether you're doing everything right or maybe you're not doing anything right, because I can work with any of that. It addresses underlying systems that control results, not just superficial behaviors. And where we are. The first stage would be we would try to stabilize the body. The goal is to reduce stress chemistry and regulate your nervous system. So we'd focus on nervous system regulation, reducing pressure, trying to improve your recovery and create safety in your body. We would work on then trying to repair your metabolism to restore your metabolic responsiveness by properly fueling your body, trying to reduce adaptation in your body. And I do that by varying quantities that you eat versus like timing of eating and things like that. And just trying to restore your energy balance because your body is going to need to feel safe before it releases fat. Um, Rewiring your identity instead of like, I push no matter what, we're going to take that to I work with my body. And we're going to focus on breaking pressure cycles, building your awareness of your body, and creating alignment with your body. Stage 4 to become, and that's where like your habits start aligning, your body responds, and your results become sustainable. There's no more forcing, no more burnout, and no more starting over. And that is something that just takes time. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I told you I stopped eating processed food in 2018 and sugar. And it took until about August of 2024. And I'm not saying it'll take you that long because I had to do a lot of like troubleshooting to figure all this out. So maybe if I had like a map, it would have been a little faster, but it took a long time to get to the point where like I don't I don't want that stuff anymore. Like I literally don't want it. And I don't it's I like the food noise is gone. I don't think about food all the time. I don't think about sweets at all. In fact, I still sometimes buy that junk for my children. And um, we had donuts here one day, and I looked at them, and I'm just like, it looked disgusting. Something that I would have eaten in a heartbeat years ago. I can't even fathom eating now. But it took a lot of work. I have to tell you that and I did a master class on this before. Um, Most of what you are is your mindset. They say you are what you eat. Well, that's true too. If I were just to take exercise and diet alone, if those were the only two factors that affected how you look, 90% would be diet, 10% would be um, exercise. But if you take everything, 80% of what you are, what you look like, is your mindset. And that is huge. So that is like where, your habits are aligning, your body will start responding to those things once you make those changes. But it takes work. Um, It's not something that you can do by yourself. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't know, because one of the things about about making change is when you are in a group. When you're in a group or you have a person that's with you, you tend to want to be like that person. You tend to be like the five people closest to you. So think about who's closest to you and what are they eating? How are they moving? What do they do for rest? What kind of lifestyle are they leading? And that's where, you are like that. And so wherever your weakness is, maybe you sleep great, but wherever your weakness is, being around a person that that you're accountable to, that can direct you, that you can be influenced by, is going to be a huge force in getting this done, and getting it done maybe faster than I did, because for years I didn't work with anybody. I wasn't in any groups. I'm currently a coach in a food addiction group. And I have a lot of skills from that. I have a lot of information, and I have a lot of experience coaching people from that. So I just know that what I do works, and it can work for you. So, um, smart people, they stay stuck. They're trying to solve biological problems with discipline alone and no help. And ignoring your stress physiology, that just doesn't work. Um, so this program is for, if you're a disciplined person, like if you can be disciplined, and you're ready for deeper transformation. And the discipline, might just be that, you're just doing one small thing at a time, right? And you're just sticking to it. It's more about consistency than it is like, hardcore discipline. Um, you're ready for a deeper transformation. You want to change yourself, because the reason why you aren't seeing what you want is because there are things in your head and in your heart that you need to change. And those get changed by skills that I have and things that I can teach. Um, and this is not a quick fix. So if you're wanting a quick fix, I cannot tell you that I can fix you quickly. It's going to take time. So that is why, if you wanted to work with me, you're going to be in it for a bit, because that's how it works. Change is not quick. In fact, when you change everything too quickly, you actually stress your brain, and it causes you to eat more. That's why people, when they go and they just go all out, like, I'm going to get rid of all this bad stuff, and they go cold turkey on everything. That's why they come back, and not only do they regain the weight they lost, but they gain even more, because their brain is stressed because they did it too fast. So slower wins the race on health and wellness. So um, I would invite you, if you wanted to do my program, I would start out with a 6-week course for you. There'd be some weekly coaching calls entailed in it, and regular accountability check-ins. We would have basically, what I'd like to do is put people in a group where we would have like some Zoom meetings and things like that, and then support from me. Um, and that'll entail in maybe a Zoom check-in. If you live locally, I could meet with you if you'd like. And and also, we'd be able to text or whatever. You can send me any questions whenever. And so um, transformation doesn't come from doing more, it comes from becoming somebody different. And if you want to do a one-on-one coaching call, my phone number and my email are there. But also at the end of this program, I'll send you a follow-up email that has the information, and also a recording of this in case you want to listen to it again, if there's more that you sort of missed or had questions on. So that is the end of my slideshow. So let me just get out of this share. Okay. I think we're back. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything, or if not, then basically the masterclass with my slides are done, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. And you can put it in the chat too if you don't want to um, say it out loud. That's fine. No questions. I had a whole bunch of questions the last class I taught. People had tons of questions. But like I said, I work with people that are just getting started. I can help you with a lot of things. Actually, I can even coach you in things that aren't even like health related, to try to get you into a better working energy, and just focusing on the goals that you might have in your life, or even just setting the goals you have in your life. So, um, but otherwise, if you don't have any questions, then that'll be the end. And feel free to reach out to me as well. Once I send that email, we can set up a one-on-one free coaching call where we can talk about your goals and just see if, working with me is something that you want to do. So I thank you very much, and I'm going to end the recording.